ready for it.
Hi, welcome to Echoes with Dr. TY. On this channel, we talk about career journey and everything in between. If you have not done so, you should like, share, and subscribe to this channel. You should subscribe. If you're watching without subscription, please subscribe now. Click the subscribe button. I have the honor of having Dr. Modupe Ajayi with me today, known as Dr. Mo. Dr. Mo, would you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. Good day, wherever you're watching us from. It's a pleasure to be on this show today, Echoes with Dr. TY. I'm so pleased and thank you for inviting me. And to everyone watching us, wherever you are, thank you for joining us. And I will do a brief introduction of myself. I am Dr. Modupe Ajayi, just like our host has said, and I did my PhD in molecular biology, but I am really engrossed in diagnostics. And the reason being that you can't really treat anything without proper diagnosis. So it is so crucial to everything we're doing. And aside being a scientist, I'm a mom. I'm a wife, a mom to three amazing boys. And let me tell you a secret. I had them all while studying, including PhD, while I was doing my PhD as well. So it's been a journey being a mom, studying, and being a scientist. I will tell you more about this as we go on in the show today. And aside that, I'm a lover of God. I believe in God. And I love motivating people. So, in the social space as well, you might have come across me, but if this is your first time of meeting me, hello, and let's dive into this discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mo. It's a great pleasure to have you. Um, I'm going to have to touch on the mom part and the PhD part because I know that PhD can be quite challenging on its own. And then to now combine that with three boys, wow. But before we go into that, I want to start with my first question. And my question to you is, after your PhD, what was your first pivotal career decision?
Good. Thank you for that question. After PhD, I know everyone would be asking the question, what next? What am I going to do? And everyone will be faced with that question, either before you finish or just after finishing or at some point. And so for me personally, because I was so interested in diagnostics and the PhD that my project was quite interesting. So I worked on um, developing like a point of care testing for Clostridium difficile infection. I know I'm speaking some grammar, but
You
this
lost
is,
me, your host there. You lost me too.
yes. So this is an infection that is most prevalent amidst hospital setting. So imagine going to an hospital, immunocompromised, and people live with an infection. So how to, developing a quick detection mechanism. So that was what I was interested in. And so after that, after my PhD, I was fascinated with diagnostics, which is what I've just told you earlier during my introduction, that without proper diagnosis, you can't really have any treatment. So, the question for me then was, I want to do more in the diagnostic world. And I wanted to continue a little bit into research. So that's why the first thing I did after my PhD was to get a research fellowship. So, and then I worked on AMR, so which is antimicrobial resistance. So, which is also one of the big thing if you know about health. So, and yeah, so that was the first thing, is to consolidate the skills I've acquired in PhD by doing a research fellowship in AMR. Yeah.
Okay, so you made that decision just when you're about finishing your PhD that you're going to have to do research, you want to continue on this part. Was there anything that kind of influenced why you still want to stay in research? Because it links to my next question. Because you've changed roles since you completed your PhD and after that research roles, what influenced this decision?
Yeah.
Because you just said that you want to stay in the line of research after your PhD, and then you move on to another role and then to another role. Tell
Yeah.
us what influenced your decisions.
Thank you very much. So it's passion, passion and purpose. Those are critical thing and when making decisions because our life's journey, they are not straight line. But one thing that needs to stay consistent is your purpose. Wherever you navigate through life or wherever life takes you, go with purpose and go with passion, and everything will flow and would align eventually. Like you said, yes, I did. I made the decision before finishing my PhD that I want to consolidate on diagnostics. So diagnostics is a big field, so which is not limited to research. So, and after I finished my PhD and did my postdoc, like I said, I was interested in diagnostic as a whole. And if you consider it like a circle, I've actually gone through it. So I started as an academia in diagnostics. Then I went into industry, a diagnostic industry. So where, unfortunately, that was during COVID. And what we were doing then was making lateral flow. So if you've ever used any of these lateral flow for COVID, I might be one of the ladies behind the scene making
Making the
those.
magic happen.
Yeah. So which is why I said where your passion, where your passion, you know, grows, your purpose would definitely align with it. So, and that was why I went into the industry. So, so if you look at my profile, it might be as if they are all different roles, but they are all connected to diagnostics, and that is where my passion and purpose lie. My purpose lies. So, I went into diagnostics in the industry, making it, the use of it. And now I am in civil service and I'm still doing diagnostic sciences. And why am I doing that is because the layer, after knowing how to do the bench side, then the industry, which is the manufacturing side, is now the regulation. So I'm into the regulatory aspect of diagnostics still. So you can see how they've all connected together. So I am still a diagnostic scientist, but now focusing more into the assurance and the regulatory aspects, and more to come, actually.
I would say you are very well rounded. So you have the research experience, you
Yes.
have the industry experience,
Yeah.
and now you are on the path of being a regulator or making policies
Yes.
regarding regulation. Is that
Yes.
correct to
That's
summarize? Oh,
yeah.
that's brilliant. For someone like us, we've just stayed on one path. It's a very strange journey. But yeah, I've always wondered if you started as academic and then you go to industry and then you come back to academic, you will bring a very dynamic experience to
Yeah.
what you do because you've experienced it outside of the textbook, outside of
Mhm.
articles and the things that you read. So
Yeah.
well done. Well done.
Thank
I'll
you.
go on to my next question. How has your definition of success evolved since completing your PhD?
Hmm. That's a good question. My definition of success, for me, success is not one-sided. And I am not interested in just being known as being successful in career while failing at home. So, which is why I'm working towards becoming a 360-degree successful woman. So,
Can you
success.
explain, please? Can you explain 360? I don't know what that is.
Yeah. So, I mean, a total. So, success is a total package.
Okay.
And that is what I would want everyone watching me today because I would want to relate with you because sometimes you might be suffering a little bit and you might not see yourself a little bit successful, maybe career wise, just because of the season and phase in which you are in life. But that doesn't mean you're not successful. So you might be juggling a lot of balls in your hands at the same time. As long as none of them is falling, you are successful. So for me, success to me is I'm successful career wise, I'm successful as a mom, I'm successful as a wife. I'm successful as being impactful to my society and environment in what God has called me to. So, which is why I call a 360 integrated success and health wise as well. So, but, health wise, career wise, work, your outside of work life is also successful. So, to me, that's a success. And the season in which you plays a lot of role in determining what it means. Thank you.
I want to go back to juggling. How do you juggle everything? How do you juggle everything? A mother of three, a wife, and I also know that, of course, your faith is very important to you, and then you have the career also. How do you juggle all those things?
The first thing is to say and to admit that it is not easy. I would not stand here and say, oh, I got it all figured out. I have everything planned up. No, then that would be deceptive. But I want to say that it's achievable. And I go by the mantra, one day at a time. That's if you've come close to me, you know that I live by that. So one day at a time, because tomorrow will take care of itself. A lot of stress, a lot of, what's going to happen. So, how do I juggle? How do I manage all those things? Number one is seeking help because you can't do it all by yourself. I couldn't have done this all by myself. If I told you as a scientist going to the lab, like 8 hours a day, and while raising up kids, how has that been achievable? Well, I had help. And that is why, if anyone is at that phase, leverage and help your partner. My husband was key in assisting me during those days. And I had, colleagues around, that we built like a community together, helping each other, and also recognizing that this is a phase. PhD is 3 years. It's not gonna be forever. And also the kids are growing up. So knowing, and that's mindset, just reorientating yourself that this is not gonna last forever is a phase, and because once your mind is at peace, then your environment, you can find comfort. But when you're troubled, you're agitated, even when help is coming, you might not be receiving it. So that is why having a defined mindset and orientation about what you're going through at that particular time is very important. Now to when I'm working, hasn't been easy. So like I said, when you're juggling ball, as long as you do not throw them on the floor, not all of them will be up at the same time. So it might be this year or this 3 years, my career might be at the peak, but as long as I'm holding my family together and not letting it scatter, that's fantastic. Sometimes career, sometimes home might take priority, like maybe you're pregnant, you have to focus on your child at that moment. And then maybe your career, you're not really making visible progress. But as long as you're taking it and you're not the same, you're not stagnant, that is progress. So I have this mindset. And sometimes I look at myself. And also, one of the things is realizing that your life is not just and your life's journey is not in isolation of a particular event of your life. So, for example, maybe because the year I was at home raising my kids, I shouldn't think I'm not successful. Oh, I see other people, they've published 10 papers. We are in different seasons of life. So having that mindset just helps you manage all the things you have. The different balls, I don't know what balls you have. It might be different from mine, but please hold them together. Don't drop any. One might be higher than the other at a given point, but please hold them together. And that is work-life balance. Not as if all of them would be at equilibrium at every time. No. Thank you.
I really do like the way you exemplify juggling. One can be at the top, one can be higher than the holder, if that makes sense. And it is still success
Yeah.
in that sense. Because I used to say that when you give one thing attention, if it is your career, um, you may lack a little bit attention with family,
Mhm.
but it also comes to community and the people around you. And I really want to, again, if you can touch on the power of community, particularly when, for example, when you were doing your PhD, you've got three kids, um, and you, of course, your husband was there, but was also working. How did you balance everything? What role did community play in that?
Yeah. So, like they say that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with people. Okay.
Can you repeat
Because
that, please?
so if you want to go fast, like you want speed, then go alone. Then you can be fast. But if you want to go far in terms of the distance covered, go with people. And that emphasizes the importance of community. So community, that I mean, for example, those who are in similar situation, similar circumstances that, and like we used to say that a problem shared is half solved. So when we come together as a community, you're starting your PhD, I'm also doing mine, we encourage one another. You see that I'm not alone in this journey. We're strengthening one another. You want to give up. No, you can't do that. We're almost there. It's like when one's fire or if your friend's light is about to go out, you quickly lighten it. That's the power of community. And also in childcare, I can say, okay, I might need to be in the lab in the evening. Please, can I just drop my child with you? You know, and before you know it, it helps, it strengthens relationship, it fosters love, it helps, even the kids as well. Then they're not feeling as if they're left out, then they have to be the price that mommy is paying, for her to rise. And which is one thing I have told myself, my children will not be the price I will pay for me to rise. No. So, and also it helps cost as well. We are in England. Childcare is very expensive if we need to be real. So, but having that community saves you a lot of pounds, which is good.
Where do you find your community?
Community, well, first of all, um, it depends. So, community for me, I found it in church, my church members. That's faith. It could be culture. So culture, those who we came from the same place, church as well, and also neighbors, because you cannot necessarily live with church members every time. So, but I'm being very sociable, and personally, I flow well with people, so it's easy for me to make friends. So I found those who we stay together, we kind of have that kind of, you know help. We help each other, and that's been very, very useful. So church, neighbors, and the community itself.
Hmm, thank you. If you want to go fast with the speed of life, then you can go alone. But if you want to go far, if you want to get to the peak, you need people around you. That it sounds very simple, but it links to a lot of things because that people can be your network, those who open the gate for you. That they could be the people could be people who speak when you are not there and when decision needs to be made about your career, about any other thing else. So
Mhm.
essentially, yes, we need people in our life and we need good people. Good
Okay.
people. We need to be surrounded by good people. I'm going to go on to the next question. And then my next set of questions kind of focus on challenges and barriers. And the first one is, what has been the most defining challenge in your journey?
Oh my God, that is a very good question, and a very honest question, because to every one of us, there would be challenges. And one of the most defining moments was when I had to, when I was facing some career questions. I was asking myself, where do I need to be? Just like I said, with purpose and with passion, they need to be aligned. And I asked myself, this trajectory, where is it leading me? And like I said, I am passionate to be a 360 degrees successful woman. And at the point, my career was taking a toll on the family, especially my kids. Because imagine I was working in a place that I had to leave the house around 6:30 in the morning, and I won't be back till about maybe 6 o'clock again. And I've got young, well, not very young, but because I am intentional about my parenting, then I asked myself, how long do I want to trade off career progress for the limited time I will be having with these kids? Because they are not going to remain in my house forever. So, and there is a phase in which my presence is most important in their lives. So that was very challenging. And I had to make a decision. And it might sound very crazy. I had to resign from the job. I resigned without knowing where next. I resigned without having another thing lined up. I just took a leap of faith because I knew I couldn't continue in that circle. I don't want to be an absent mom. I don't want to be, I don't want to leave my kids with the memory that, oh, mommy was just concerned with her career. She just left us to maybe somebody to be taking care of us. So I had to make that decision and I left. But it was the most challenging and the most rewarding at the same time. But because I prayed, well, I never let just blindly, all right, because I prayed and I asked God that, you know what, I can't continue with this. I did a bit of reflection, and which is what I would encourage everybody. Whatever situation you are, take some time out to reflect. I did a reflection and I drew my life kind of on a paper and like, okay, what are my non-negotiables in life? What are my non-negotiables? So that is why today, um, if a job comes and it promises me, no matter the amount, I will not trade off my non-negotiables. So have you identified your non-negotiables? Okay. It might be different. Mine might be different from yours, but it is good for you to identify your non-negotiables. So I did that, my non-negotiables. So if I'm going to go to a job, what am I ready to take? What am I not ready to take? No matter who you are, sorry. My non-negotiables should be, if you're telling me I have to be going again 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, no work-life balance like we've just talked about, no time to attend anything about my kids, nothing, I would not take that. And funny enough, that was what led me into the civil service. And it was a leap I made. I told you I made it blindly, completely blindly. I did not have, like no job. I was completely out of job. But it was, people would think, how did that happen? But as God will have it, I was only out of job for 2 weeks and I got 2 offers. And all the 2 offers ticked my non-negotiables. Like they satisfied my condition. Yes, now. So I was going intentionally to the next job, knowing that it's not just career. Like I said, my 360-degree success is not just measured by how high I've attained academically or so. And that has been very, very, I can tell, but because of time, I think that has been a challenge, but a championing moment as well in my life.
Dr. Mo, I must say that, yes, I know you are a woman of faith, but it takes courage to leave your
Yes.
job. Not that you have another one, it
Mm-hmm.
takes courage.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can do that. Well, here I am now. Here I am now. But it is courage. But my
Yeah.
takeaway from that is that, of course, we need to reflect. What do you want to get out of life? What are those things that are important to you? What are
Mhm.
your negotiables? What are non-negotiable? Um, and then I think that this job, the job you got within 2 weeks, was defined rather than what is thrown at you and then you just get it. Oh, that's just another job. I'm going to get it. But because you've defined your perimeters, you
Mhm.
know exactly what you want out this time. Maybe probably that also shaped the kind of jobs that you apply to because you know what you wanted. You wanted time with your family. Family is important to you. And like Dr. Mo said, it may not be family for you, it may be something else. But the question is, what do you really want to get out of life? What do you want at this moment, at this phase? Because again, it is phase. A phase could be 1 year, it could be 2 years, it could be 5 years, it could be 10 years, but it's a
Mhm.
phase.
Wow.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. I'll go on to my next question, and it is, how did you navigate moment of uncertainty? Which kind of link into this? How
Okay.
did you navigate moment of uncertainty and doubt? Because that 2 weeks, so many things will be going through your mind. Do you mind sharing some, like, did I make the right decision?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. If I need to be brutally honest, like I said, to do such a thing, you need a strong mindset. A man that is not defeated within himself, it's difficult for external factors to defeat. If you see a woman who has not been defeated within herself, who has found purpose within herself, she's built a wall. Do you understand? Even when pressures from outside come, she would be able to withstand that. And what I did first was to work on myself, to see the reason, what am I doing? Why do I do that? And one of the things I told myself is this. Listen, I told myself to come. Okay, now you are no longer interested, you want to leave. And okay, peradventure, if you don't leave, how about if these people lay you off? You have to go anyway. It's gonna be impromptu anyway. So not people laying me off now, but I intentionally laying off. And like I said, reflection, planning. Do you understand? Planning. And I would say here to anyone, if you are on the wrong train, the best thing for you is to leave at the next available opportunity. Because the longer you stay on the wrong train, it's going to take you farther from your destination. It's going to cost you more and it's going to take you a long time, waste a lot of your time. So the earlier you realize, don't stay because of emotions. What would people say? What would my friends say? What would colleagues say? And leave. And a lot of people are stuck because of what would people say? Scared, fear. A lot of people say stay because of uncertainty. I don't know what next. Where would my next income come? But as a person, I know I've got values in me that I can add even without work. There are things I could do that I can add. So I kind of have those defining moments, and I have prayed. Just like I said, I had prayed and I have entrusted that phase. I never knew how long it was going to take, and but um a sharp intentional moves, just like you mentioned, I was not applying anywhere anyhow. I knew what I wanted. I had clarity. So clarity is very important. And but if you want to jump, don't jump without, under pressure, because jumping under pressure will lead you from fry pan to fire. So but intentional moves, clarity of purpose, strategic move, networking, these are things, and God is what balance the whole equation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Um, I was just about to ask you a question on faith, and you talk about God. What a coincidence. Let me ask you my next question, which is on faith. When things felt unstable, what anchored you?
Well, what anchored me is nothing but my God and my faith in God. And I am a strong believer that the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. The path, there is no path that will be 100% smooth. Just like you can't find the road, no matter how new, how neat, there would be bumps. It could be inserted by the people who constructed the roads, to limit the speed. So bumps sometimes are not just there to cause you to, sometimes it's to moderate that journey. It's to moderate that journey. Oh, your speed is, and that's why in cars we have the speed. You have the speed as well as the brake. So God's moderates. So I believe strongly that God moderates whatever is happening in my life. So I go to Him in prayers. I pray. I ask Him for help. Sometimes confusion comes. You don't know what next. But it might seem as if, oh, He's not speaking. Do I need to hear? But sometimes peace. Peace is something we usually underestimate. When you've prayed and He gives you His peace, His presence follows. So I strongly believe in God leading, in asking for grace, and also our yardstick should not be other people's successes because
Hmm.
we run different journeys. Our paths are different. What you carry, what you're facing is different from what I'm facing. So I shouldn't be intimidated by somebody else's success. Like, oh, as soon as now she's a professor, what am I still doing? You never know. Some of them, there is a lot of life circumstances around there. So, in terms of challenges, don't measure your progress by people, measure it by the parameters of what you're in and anchor your faith in God.
Anchor your faith in God, and your success is not defined by the people around you. The success is defined by your own parameters, the things that you are going through. It's defined by your own race because we are all on a different race. Thank you so much for that. I feel like asking you a question about family, your kids. Let's talk about raising kids here in the UK. What is your ideology for how to raise kids? I don't know if I'm making sense. Am I making
You too.
sense?
You too. You too. How to raise kids? Um, no matter how prepared you are to be the best mom, you never know the gifts that will be placed in your hands. Like, no matter how prepared, oh, I've read this book. The moment that child, that precious child lands in your hand, it's totally different. You never know. So, but it's good to be learned. So at least you can navigate some path. But in terms of raising kids, one thing I would say is this, and to everybody, raising kids needs to be intentional. Needs to be intentional. And attention to kids is not measured by I can give them money. Oh yeah, I'll just go drop them. What do you need? No. Your presence, the quality you pump into them, it goes a long way in shaping them. I have seen kids that have grown up with doctors as oh, so I actually had a friend. Her parents were doctors. Mom doctor, dad doctor, but she told me she would never be a doctor. She said because growing up, they never had time. So she grew up in the home. I'm sure they would be financially okay, but because the attention was not there, the presence was not felt. She felt like I don't want to raise a kid where I would just give them money. Money should not represent. It should not replace my presence. Toys should not replace my presence. No. So that is why personally I go intentionally. And then while I was having my kids, and planning is quite important. and the phases in which your children are at as well matters, and your environment. We can have a lot of conversation on this. The type of environment you stay has a role to play in what's what your children, in what they imbibe into them. So be conscious of the kind of environment. It influences the kind of schools. So which is why, as parents, please know, learn about the school system here, because it's quite different. You know, you might be school here is quite here, but the best of the school there might just be like a struggling school. So the type of environments, people move because of the schools. So make efforts to know, the things that are around here. And my eldest would be doing is yeah, is preparing for his year very soon, for his year 11. And I had to be strategic. I had to know, what is he supposed to do, the kind of school, the supports, and also out there, because everything in school, might not be sufficient. So you might need to get some help, some tutors to help them. So make use of the available opportunities that are around. Ask a question, and that would really, really help. So mm,
Thank you. Thank you so very much for that. Ask question, use the opportunity, use the community, use your network. I think it's a lot. I think it's a lot. Yeah, thank you so much for that. In closing, what would your advice be to someone navigating a challenging career at the moment, maybe a job that is not what they really want, or they are going through, um, for example, if colleagues are not collegial, things like that, issues at workplace, what would be your advice to them?
um, very good question, and this is coming from my heart. To everyone watching, to everyone listening today, it's when a challenge comes, first thing, pause and analyze and reflect, so that you're not fighting the wrong battles. So pause and analyze, because sometimes challenges might be the stepping stone you need for the next progress. So you don't want to jump off if it is actually necessary for your rise. So, which is why you need to sit down and think, is this a temporary thing? Is it just because of agitation, a little bit of, agitation here and there? Is this something that will clear out? Do you understand what I mean? So, understand and identify what kind of challenge this is. So, if it is, oh, maybe they don't like me, or maybe the manager, you understand? If it is just temporary opera or something that would, that would die down.
Fade away.
Yeah. So, you can bear with that. Or is it a challenge that I've put myself into? Or maybe because I'm doing this, doing that, then I'm burning out. You understand the kind of thing? So, sitting down to reflect is a powerful tool. I know in our day and age where everything is fast, fast paced, you just want to think on your feet, you might not really, really be able to identify and analyze trends. So, taking a moment back to identify the trend. Is there something in particular about this thing? What is actually causing it? Troubleshooting. Troubleshoot your challenge. Troubleshoot it, because that would help you to be able to use the right strategy for it. Once you troubleshoot, is it something I should face headlong? Then you're prepared, knowing that I am facing this challenge headlong. And I know, like, is if you like in research, I know it's not everything you did that worked. There are times in which you have to say that, no, this is a problem, but I will not leave my PhD because there was a problem. Do you understand? So how do I tackle it? You walk around it and you do it. But there are some challenges that are caused by people. other people. Is this something I can cope with? Is it by severing the relationship? Do you understand? Is this something I have to walk away from? If it's like a work culture, then is this something I can put up with? But if you know no, then maybe do I need to change? Do I need to leave? But this needs to be evidence based. This needs to be, so that you're not just repeating the circle of that challenges over and over again. So identify the patterns. What can you do? And seek help. Speak up. Speak to people that have navigated the path. Ask for counsel. They might tell you, oh, it happens to everybody. Don't worry. It's a soon go. Or, okay, they can give you strategic answer or reposition you that will realign you to what you're looking for. And maybe you're stuck. You know that, oh, this career is not making any progress. It's not going anywhere. Please don't be stuck. You can still realign yourself. You've got the powers, mindsets. You can do, okay, I need to change, I need to maybe top up my training. Go for it and reposition yourself until you get to where you get to. Don't give up, no matter the challenge. Don't give up.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mo. Don't give up. With your research at home, you said collect evidence, sit back, reflect. Reflection is key in everything that we do because by reflecting, you can assess your position. What are the things that you've done that you should not have done that way? What are the things that you can do better? That is how we grow. You reflect. So thank you so much. And we do sincerely really appreciate your time here with us today. We hope that we can bring you back some other time. So thank you so much, our audience, for watching this video. If you have not done so, like, share, and subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more videos. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all. Bye.